Hello, how are you? Today I'm going to do the second part of my last video. I talked about the beast out of the sea, and of course I didn't have enough time to do the beast out of the earth, and so I want to do that today. It took me long enough to upload my last video, and again, if it goes over 40 minutes, it's usually 2 hours, over 2 hours. So hopefully I can do this faster today, since I don't have to go back and kind of prepare you for this whole thing. Please watch my last video about the beast out of the sea, because that is a prerequisite to understand the beast out of the earth. Both of them are described in Revelation 13. Now, the beast out of the earth was not seen by Daniel. And I mentioned that in my last video. It was only seen by John. And also, we know that this beast out of the sea will last until all the way to the end, until Jesus establishes his kingdom. And the saints will rule with him during the millennium. So this next beast, the beast out of the earth, actually exists parallel to the beast out of the sea. When I talk parallel, I mean that it exists at the end of the beast out of the sea, at the end. And the end was when the beast out of the sea was wounded. And today we're going to look at this beast. I mentioned it in my last video that this beast can only be the Empire USA. It can only be the United States. The United States is the empire today. And I said that in my last video. Ron Paul already mentioned that there's other people that have mentioned that it's not a very common thing that the Americans acknowledge that we are in an empire. Because what happens with an empire, they have empirical traits. In other words, they want world dominion. Every empire has the tendency to want to have world dominion. Oh no, we don't do that. We want to bring democracy, right? But that's just an excuse. It's an excuse to dominate others. And yes, when we look at it today, the beast out of the earth looked like a lamb at first. It was innocent. Lambs are usually not very aggressive towards other animals. And so it was peaceful in the beginning. Matter of fact, it even started like a very noble country. It wanted to have freedom for all, freedom, equality for all, except, of course, the blacks and the women. But generally, that's what they wanted. But eventually, then they got to it. Today we have equality, hopefully, for all. Yeah, so it started out kind of peaceful. And then it says, but in Revelation 13:11, that it spoke like a dragon. Now, at first it didn't speak like a dragon, because who is the dragon? That's Satan. People, that's Satan. Now, we could say, oh, it spoke like a dragon, powerful, blah, blah, blah. But when we are looking at the whole chapter, and we're looking at the chapter prior, who is the dragon? That's Satan. So he spoke with the voice of the dragon. If we continue to read it, it says, it exercised all authority of the first beast on its behalf and made the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast whose fatal wound had been healed. So the first part is that it received the authority from the first beast. Now, where did the first beast receive the authority from? The dragon. Now, well, I thought the United States is built on, Bible-believing principles. Well, yeah, they started that way. Again, they came from the old world, keep that in mind, from the old system, political system, and they wanted to separate from that because they didn't give them freedom of religion, freedom of speech. They gave them tyranny, oppression. So they came to the United States to really replace this old system with a new system. And this is how United States was founded. However, make no mistake, early on, this old system, which was dominated by who? Babylon the Great, the Vatican, came also to the States. You should really know that. And they intermingled even, in the States and tried to get political power. And yeah, of course, at first, the Protestants ruled and they governed the country. But, even during the time of Abraham Lincoln, and I mentioned that by referring to this book by Charles Chiniquy, 50 Years in the Roman Church, that even during the time of Abraham Lincoln, the Vatican was trying to take over through the Catholics. Okay? Through the Catholics. And so the country went from a mainly Protestant country to complacency, and then allowing and open the door to, again, this old system. Okay, the old system, which is about taking authority, dominating, tyranny. Okay, they took over. The Pope's goal was always, this counter-reformation was always to destroy the Protestant church. And of course, in the United States is the place where it really happened. How did it happen? It happened through education, and then later on, media. Media came in, and we always say, media is, dominated by the Zionists or the Jews. Yeah, well, if you look really behind it, pyramid of power, you will come, past the Jews, you will probably get to the Vatican, to the Jesuits. Because that's what they used. They used the media, they used really the Jews to bring corruption and the fall of morals to the United States. And that's what we're having today. We have a weak Protestant system. Protestant system that a lot of them already bowed down again to the Pope and made peace treaties or whatever they did with the Pope. Lots of evangelical churches did that. They forgot that the Pope was the enemy of Protestantism. They forgot that Martin Luther, Calvin, and the Reformers called the Pope Antichrist. They forgot it, at least within the last 100 years. If you read books prior to about 100 years ago, you see that there are many still Protestants that know the enemy. Today they don't know the enemy anymore. And so they opened the door wide to Catholicism. When Kennedy became president, Kennedy had to work very hard to convince the Protestant churches, okay, that they will vote for him. Because they thought, well, if they put a Catholic there, the Catholics will always go by the Pope. They have to. That's why they're Catholic. And Pope is final authority in everything. And so, but now what we have, they slowly kind of mingled in. Oh, first we had Catholic vice presidents, right? Which was Biden was, Pence was. I mean, they always have put up Catholic vice presidents with almost every, president lately. And then all of a sudden, oh, yeah, sure, Biden was president. Well, we're going to have him as a president. And that's exactly how they slowly snuck in. They did the same thing in the Supreme Court. Okay? Slowly. So that's how they took over. And I have to say that because that's what we're talking about today, the beast out of the earth. The beast out of the earth cannot be anything else because the United States today is the empire of the world. People are going to say, oh, what about Russia and China? No, they're not empire. Daniele Ganser, which is a Swiss historian, he said in one of his books, and I think he called it Empire USA, the way you can see what an empire is, look at their airplane carriers. Okay, there are ships that carry airplanes. How many does each country have? And the United States has, I don't know, maybe 10 or I don't know how many, but way more than China or Russia. Russia has maybe 1 or 2, okay? So that's telling you who is empire today. It's not Russia, it's not China, it's the United States, and especially in combination with whom? The first beast, which is Europe. Okay, what do they have? The NATO. They have a pact called the NATO. And with that combination, that's why I always call it beast system, they are empire. The empire. Now what's happening today is that the United States as a country is losing more and more power in the world, but Europe is replacing that power. And we will see that in a minute. Actually, we also saw in the last video that showed that this first beast was wounded, but came back to life, and we see that again today. But while it was wounded, the United States was stepping in and keeping this European beast, protected. Because that's what they did. Kept it protected. And today, we are again in the hands of the Vatican, totally. And the Vatican wants, again, total authority. If you know your history, before 1500, the Vatican had total dominion over the kings, and really because it supported the kings and said, hey people, you need to support the king is the final authority under God. Remember that? It's exactly what they said. And the kings are put in by God. And we saw it in my last video that that's not the case. The beast system was totally established by Satan. And since the second beast gets its authority from the first beast, maybe not at the beginning, but now it does. it's again under Satan, under dragon. It gets power from dragon. It exists as an empire because of the dragon. Oh yeah, people don't want to believe that. Oh no, we are still a Christian, hypocritical Christian country. We're actually traitors because we came here to turn our back to the old system. We created a new system. This was the new system. And now what we're doing is we're actually ratting our country out again to the Vatican and to the old system. Because that's what we're going towards too. That's exactly what Biden tried to do in this past 3 years. He tried to put us under tyranny again. That's what he did. He tried. And it's gonna continue. No matter who is going to be president, they will do it. Okay, Trump didn't do anything different because Trump also was put in by the Vatican. Yeah, and people are saying, no, Trump is not Catholic. No, he's not. Neither was Obama. Or the Clintons. But they were still educated in the Catholic system. So was Trump. Jesuit, educated. And that's the only way they can get power. Every candidate is put up right now for presidency. Look at them all. They're all Catholic backed. Okay? They're all Catholic backed. Catholic backed dragon. Dragon gives the United States the power to exist as an empire. Right now. It exercises all authority of the first beast on its behalf and made the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast whose fatal wound had been healed. How is America making us worship the old system? That's what it is. How are we worshiping the old system? See, we thought we, again, turned our back to the old system. We didn't want to have anything to the old system. But people, because we've let our guard down and our youth and children got controlled by this old system, okay? Now we're bowing down again to this old system. Yeah, you think it's not there yet, but it's coming. It's coming, people. Remember, worship is not like we're praying to it like an idol or something. No. Worship is you are supporting it. What have we been doing for the past, during the pandemic? What have we done? We bowed down to what? The World Health Organization. Or whoever came up with this whole thing, lockdown and whatever. All the things we were doing. Or no, we just blindly, follow what whoever was in charge was saying. Do we even know who was in charge? Well, we're saying it was the World Health Organization. And then we say, it's Bill Gates and all these people. Yeah, but who is really behind all this? Bill Gates is only the merchant. You understand? If you read Revelation 17 and 18, who do the merchants bow down to? 18. Revelation 18. To Babylon the Great. Who is Babylon the Great? I talked about that too, just recently. Okay? So you see the connection? Now we are what the United States. So many people say, the United States is Babylon the Great. No. Babylon the Great is a religious system. We are not a religious system, but we are connected to that religious system. Okay? We have the stamp on it from that religious system, but in really it's the system of Satan. When you look at how Washington looks, created with the Capitol, the dome, and the obelisk in the front there, well, that's the same as the Vatican. And I think you can find the very same thing in England, because they are all connected. Why England? Because England is standing for Europe, for that beast. That's where you have the financial system. And then you have Washington as the military system of this whole beast system. Then you have the religious system that's really on top. The religious system is on top and controls everything. That's the idea of the Catholic Church, of the Vatican. The Pope is the ultimate authority in this world. And nobody can make any decisions. Nobody is connected to God unless that final authority says it. That final authority will make all decisions for everybody. You are not free to connect to God. And of course, that is against the Bible. And that's why what we're having today is we're bowing down to this old system again. The new system that we had in the United States was freedom for all. We all can make our own decision about religion, about health, about education, what we believe. Okay, that's the new system. And the old system is tyranny. The Vatican will tell you what to do. And right now, the Vatican is, of course, in the shadow. It's somewhere up there in the pyramid of power, and we don't see it. They're hiding behind many levels of power. I've talked about that so many times. Okay? Now again, it says, and it exercised all the authority of the first beast, and I read that, and the fatal wound was healed, which is happening today. When was that this fatal wound caused? During the Second World War. Europe finally was done. If the United States would not have entered the World War, everything would have been totaled. Okay? Totaled. And then it continues, and it performed great signs, even causing fire to come down from heaven to earth in full view of the people. When does that happen? When did that happen? Well, I can just start in the Second World War. What happened during the Second World War? Well, if I still listen to my mother is 89 years old. She remembered the bombing of a city not far from her and how they rained down fire from heaven. She's telling me that still. And I know from other cities like Dresden, it was just totally bombed out. Fire, literal fire from heaven that burned people in the basement, that melted people in the basement, that melted people walking on the streets. I don't think Americans have any idea what the United States did during the Second World War. See, the finger is always pointed towards the Germans and how terrible the Germans were. And it's always like that. The United States does not want to take responsibility for what they are doing in other countries. Oh no, they're always keeping in the background. But in Germany, you can't deny what they actually did, because they did it themselves. American bombers did it. The 2 atom bombs, you can't deny that. Fire from heaven, that's what they did in the sight or in view of the people. Because of the signs, it was given power to perform on behalf of the first beast. So because the first beast gave him that power, okay, the first beast invited them, England invited them to come into this World War II, and that's what it did. Because of the signs it was given power to perform on the behalf of the first beast, it deceived the inhabitants of the earth. How many times has the United States deceived the earth? Not just the earth, but hello, the United States themselves. Have you heard about false flags? Have you heard about all these? Oh, those are all conspiracy, right? Yeah. Not recently, I actually introduced a book about, I don't have it with me right now. It's a children's book. I need to bring it again. Has something to do with Introduction to Conspiracy. Tuttle Books or something like that. Tuttle Books. And yeah, no, not all is just theory when it comes to conspiracy. A lot of things were absolutely, conspiracy. They were never, like for instance, 9/11 was never really exposed. What they did with Pearl Harbor was never fully exposed. It's just traditionally what has been happening. The United States been deceiving the whole world, not telling them the truth. And so, yeah, they have been doing that. Then it says it ordered them to set up an image. That's in 14b. It ordered them to set up an image in honor of the beast who was wounded by the sword and yet lived. Okay, so they are going to set up an image. What kind of an image? Representation. The second beast was given power to give breath to the image of the first beast, so that the image could speak and cause all who refused to worship the image to be killed. So an image that can speak, an image that has life, well, what is that? That is our computers, our TV, our what is it? Smartphones. Okay, smartphones. That's what that is. So this is what then, of course, the United States created. This whole, technology that we have today. And the second beast was given power to give breath to the image of the first beast, so that the image could speak, cause all who refused to worship the image to be killed. Now that's not happening at this point, but everything is in place so this can happen. Now that's going to be happening at the end. And I think maybe everything will be in place, of course, before the rapture happens, because when we go to chapter 14, what do we see? We see the saints in heaven. So shortly before the saints are in heaven, these things will be prepared. The mark of the beast, that we have to bow down. Again, bow down, what does it mean? Is it saying worship? Or just going along with it without thinking? Again, going towards this old system, tyranny, where again will be under this old system where all will be persecuted. That's exactly what happened in the old system in Europe. The old world, the people were persecuted because they did not believe the same thing as the government did. The kings, the queens, the barons, whatever, whoever was in charge. The Pope, finally, ultimately, the Pope. That's what happened. They were persecuted and killed. And this is the system that we're going towards again. Not a new system. Right now we have the new system. We're going back to the old system. That's something that we have to absolutely understand. And when we come to this last part, where we're going to have to bow down to this system or be killed, I believe this is when, of course, this mark of the beast will be implemented, and I believe that is when the rapture will happen. It's actually a sign that we're going towards the rapture, because the mark is not going to be implemented or enforced until the bride is gone. That will be the ultimate, people. The ultimate of this system, this beast system, when they're forcing that. That is when they are back into this old system of tyranny and control that we used to have. Now this time we don't have necessarily the kings anymore, but we still have an elite that's doing the dirty work for the Vatican. Or, of course, for whom? The dragon. Because the whole system, both beasts, were created for Satan. They are a Satan system, people. No doubt in my mind. They're Satan's system. Well, no doubt, that's what the Bible says. Please read the whole thing again and understand who these beasts are. The second beast, of course, is also called the false prophet in Revelation 16. And so people always think, oh, that's the religious system. No, it's not a religious system. He is the prophet for the religious system. The false, the fake religious system. That's why it's called false prophet. At first he was a prophet for the right system, and then he turned sour. And he allowed the old order dragon to come in and take over. That's what happened. And we're still thinking, oh, we are Christians. Oh, yeah. And our kids are gone. They're as corrupt as they can be. Oh, and we're still Christians. Fake Christians, and we open the door, no matter where it is, whether it's in the church or in politics, to, what Martin Luther called Antichrist, or Calvin called Antichrist. Open the door just wide, politically. That's right, to the Antichrist. Of course, that's just a nickname that Martin Luther used. It's the man of sin, yes. It's the Vatican, it's the Babylon the Great, the little horn, but I talked about that in my previous video. Please look at that video as well. I mean, now, this is the third in a series, okay? I did first one on Babylon the Great, then on the beast out of the sea, and today, of course, this one is the beast out of the earth, and they all fit together. It's the same system, and people, we are that system. And that's why I always say, and I'm coming to the end with this, that we should not vote. Because no matter who we are voting for, every president right now is going to bow down. Has to bow down to Babylon the Great and the dragon. There is no other way. United States has given up their freedom they used to have. And our presidents really are not voted for anymore. Every candidate that is out there is supporting the beast system. And how do I know that? Because every president has to acknowledge Israel, the state of Israel, because they are part of the system. They are part of the beast. And if they're not acknowledging Israel as a country, they will never be president. They have to acknowledge themselves as Zionist. Because that is bowing down, that is actually bowing down to the system, to the beast system. You know, people say, oh, they should worship. Yeah, worship is when you bow down to the system and you accept everything they're saying to you. See, you're bowing down when you're supporting certain things these members of the beast system are doing, like killing other people. That's when you bow down. That's when you are supporting the system. When you're not saying, wait a minute, no, I'm against killing, no matter who it is. And you stay out of it. And because of dispensationalism and this Christian Zionism, the United States cannot do that anymore. Most of them are just totally bowing down right now to the beast. They do. They bow down to the beast right now. That is the bowing down. You are blinded so badly that you don't see anymore what you are supporting, deceiving. Remember, we said it's deceiving the world. It's deceiving the world. Deceive the world about every war that they are starting. Remember 9/11? They deceived the people to believe, oh, we have to go to war. And we destroyed a country, Iraq, and even Afghanistan. Was it Afghanistan? Yeah, I think so. Destroyed it. Now we destroyed Libya. We destroyed Syria. Okay, continue. We're destroying right now Yemen, Ukraine. People, that is what we are doing. Okay, and when we supporting this, we're bowing down to the beast. We're bowing down to the dragon. We're bowing down to Babylon the Great. But I'm coming to an end. Let the Holy Spirit guide you always. Read this again. Let it go through your head.